Hello.
So, Ananda, you write a bit from the Vedas that I have long pondered. Is this: real freedom comes along with the lack of desire to gain experience, anything one has already experienced. Perhaps this refers to being outside of the net of being body-mind driven. So the question is about real freedom. Comes along with the lack of desire to gain experience or to gain anything. Yes.
To again experience. I mean, to say
to again
re-experience something.
To again experience.
Particular flavor of that.
Yes. In fact, there is no such thing as again experiencing something. Every experience is completely fresh and new, and there is no repetition. Repetition is a mind impression. So we say, okay, gee, I've been in this room before, and so there is a repetition. But the reason why there is a repetition, or again, it is Monday again, it is Tuesday again, is because of a false impression. There is a mistaken impression that there is a physical reality, the physical reality of body-mind, a physical reality. And with the physical reality of the body-mind, there is a physical reality of the world, of an external world. You see?
Yeah.
So from that assumption, from that perspective, let's say, there is the impression of repetition. So the room is the same room. Okay, it changes a little bit because we changed the decoration in it, but it's still the same room. I am the same person. Of course, I'm changing with age and with time, but I'm still sort of the same person. All these are thought impressions. But so from the awakened state, let's say, for a jnani, for a sage, once the mind is liberated from ignorance, let's say, there is the impression of the world, whatever is arising, returns to the source. It returns to the self. So the reality that was experienced previously as being multi-dimensional and external to the self returns to the self and dissolves in the self. So wanting to seek the same experience again is not on the jnani's realm. There isn't an iota of inclination towards experiencing something again. In fact, there is no experience of something. We could say that given that there isn't an experience of something, then there, of course, there is no such thing as experiencing it again.
These kinds of awarenesses are so amazing, because obviously you might say, let's go back to that restaurant and have that Caesar salad again. you know, it was so good. So there's the whole mental and even action process of that.
Yeah, but you imagine that you are completely free. It's complete freedom of going to the restaurant again, or having that same salad again, or that same meal again. It's you can do it, but there is a complete freedom. And that's the key thing. It's not what you do. It's not that, okay, you're going to the same restaurant again, ordering the same the same dal again. It's not that. It's that you are completely free. So you are looking at a behavior, you're perceiving a behavior, you're saying, oh, this person is remembering the salad that they had last week at this particular restaurant, and they want it again.
Yeah.
And it seems that way, and on one level you could say it is that way. But what you do not see is the complete freedom. And that's not something that you can perceive. It is only something that you can experience. You can only understand the complete freedom upon the full revelation of the freedom that consciousness is, that you are.
So even the ideation, maybe even throughout the week, is thinking, let's get back to that restaurant. When can we go? You know, even if the ideation is there, this is a stepping back to where even the ideation and the assumed one with that process is not impinging on the complete freedom.
It depends, you see.
It could be addictive. Something could be even kind of addictive, in which case.
Absolutely, in the case of an
addict.
In the case of addiction, there is definitely a long way to go. There is still the me impression very well anchored. But coming back to what you were saying, that the ideation, the thought of going to that same restaurant again may arise, that may or may not reflect the freedom of the self. It depends. It depends. What matters is, let's say, the inner state, not the outer state. So in the jnani, you perceive the outer state, and the outer state may be very active, but the inner state is still. You may perceive an external inactive state, but internally the state may be very active. So for the revelation of the self, the core is peace and stillness. Effortless peace and stillness. But I would also say that this peace and stillness has no limits. And in the world, in the seeming appearances, in what we refer to as the world, the desire is at a very low level, let's say, if any, it's at a very low level. This does not mean that there isn't an engagement in the world, body, mind. There is, but the main engagement is in the peace and the bliss of the self. So it would not be surprising to find the jnani not desiring that to go to that restaurant and have that salad again. But it would not be surprising either that the jnani would go along once that idea is arisen. So, oh yeah, that's a good place, a good salad, we go.
I guess what I'm thinking now is that the, so to speak, radical separation of awareness from even those voices, you know, the voices that say, this is what I want, or this is what I remember. The whole mental show, whatever it is, and that's, I guess that's what I'm that's what I'm looking at is now as this, like you said, you can't talk yourself into it, but it's the experience of not being identified, I guess, to put it that way.
Yeah, the mind is transparent, is clarity, is a space-like quality. There isn't noise. There aren't voices. But there may be a voice that arises that may say, okay, I have a 5 o'clock appointment. It's now 4 o'clock, so let's get ready. Mm-hmm. But that's different from the voices that are referring to you as an individual and are referring to you in time and space.
Yeah, yes. Kind of angst.
It's different. It's different from the voices that have any angst or any, I would be happier if I do this, or I would be happier if I had that, or I shouldn't forget all these experiences that I had. They're very valuable. I need them. None of that is. In a way, they're a burden, no? I mean, they're a burden.
Yeah, and they certainly keep time and space intact. as they keep time and space intact as believing that's the arena that I live in, rather than I'm not.
Mm-hmm. I don't live in a time and space arena. Mm-hmm. The time and space impressions are mind impressions that don't disturb me. Why would they? Mm-hmm. It's me in time that is the disturbance. What's happening to me in time? Mm-hmm. What will happen to me tomorrow? Why did this happen to me yesterday? Mm-hmm. So me in time is different from a time impression arising. Mostly it's chronological time, because we are engaged in social activities, and so it makes sense to keep track to a certain extent, more or less. But so the time impression arises in me. But there isn't a psychological time. There isn't a me in time. I am not growing in time, regressing in time, or progressing in time. You see? And yes. And as of space ultimately, that term is a concept, is a metaphor to refer to consciousness. that consciousness is space like borderless presence. But we refer to space usually as a physical location or something like that.
Right.
A physical location, for example, this room is, or the perception of the room that you are perceiving is a perception. So our experience,
Right.
it's really the experience of a jnani is the natural mind, that this perception is a perception that is arising within me, and this perception is not apart from me. So space as a physical space, you could refer to it as a perception.
I see. But the space that I am, if we say that as an almost an analogy for what I am, it's not a perception in the same sense. It's self-knowing, limitlessness, maybe.
Right. It is not a perception in the same sense, in that the space of awareness, the space of being, is not something that is perceived via the senses. And yet, the space-like perception that is perceived does not interfere with the space-like quality of consciousness.
Right.
So there are not two. So as you're looking for a difference, in fact, there may seem to be a difference. But how do you separate the perception, its reality, whatever its reality is, from the perceiver, and the reality of the perceiver, whatever the reality of the perceiver is? So the reality of the perception.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So this is the golden thing where the world becomes the self.
Yes. So in fact, right. So the reality of what is perceived, the reality of the perception, and the reality of the perceiver, they are one reality.
Yeah.
And so when you refer to the space-like quality of consciousness, you're speaking to the space-like quality of the perceiver, which is the space-like quality of what is being perceived. They're not separate. And to come to that uninterrupted non-separation is resting as that.
See. And that pretty much undid the framework for wanting to repeat experiences. The whole framework in which that came up.
Yes, because there is a fullness and a wholeness to being. So in the wholeness and the fullness, the completeness of being, there is nothing missing.
Yes.
And so there isn't a call or a drive or a desire towards repeating something again, or having something, or holding on to something, or maintaining something, or losing something, or
that's great.
Or demonstrating something, or proving something, or defending something, or
yes. What comes to my mind is that taking Sat Chit Ananda, being awareness and bliss, seriously, as innate quality, not as not theoretically, but
What may help you in taking it seriously is your understanding of Satchitananda.
Right.
The Satchitananda refers to the I, presence, I, awareness, I am, beingness, which is unquestionable. Right? And then I know I am. Whatever that I am is, whatever that I is, I know I am.
Mhm.
So that's already I being aware of amness.
Mhm. Mhm.
I being aware of beingness. So I is aware of beingness, of amness. And of course, I is also aware of world, body, mind impressions.
Right.
So the I that is aware of beingness, of amness, is self-aware.
Right.
That's what's referred to as self-awareness. I know I am.
Right.
Then you ponder, what is that aspect of I, let's say, that is aware of beingness? What quality, let's say, of the self, of I,
Mm.
is aware that it is aware, or that it is, that it is? When you ponder that question, you come upon that aspect. I'm just using language, okay? Yes, I know that I may get some critics and questions, but it's okay.
Somewhat. Yes.
So you come to the understanding that the aspect of the self that is aware that it is the awareness aspect of it.
Right.
That it is the awareness aspect of I that knows that it is.
Mm-hmm.
See, then you ask yourself, when I look at I, because I know I, because I am I,
Mm-hmm.
and I know there is an aspect of I that is aware, that is awareness, because this I knows that I am, therefore it is aware. What part of it? Where is that? Can I separate that part that is awareness
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
out of the I? And you will come to realize that you cannot separate it.
Mm-hmm.
That it's, you cannot separate
Mm-hmm.
the light
Mm-hmm.
from, or the heat from the fire. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot separate the
Mm-hmm.
the incandescent light, the light from the incandescent wire that is, or that the current is passing through it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I hear this. So I or self is aware. And awareness depends. Awareness, there can't be awareness without the self,
Yes.
without the awareness.
Yes. So the I, you come to the I is awareness. That
Yes.
that is self is I is the light of awareness that is aware that it's aware. It's aware that it is, and it's aware that it's aware, and it's aware that it's aware that it is, and it's aware of the world body mind, and it is aware that it is aware of the world body mind. There is no limit to it. And anything and everything is bathed by the light of awareness. There is nothing that you ever experience with non-awareness.
Right.
There is nothing that you experience with non-awareness. Everything that you experience with awareness. And whatever you experience with awareness is made out of the awareness that is experiencing it. Because if there is a reality to what you're experiencing, and there is a reality to awareness, there are two realities. And we know there is one reality. And one of the logic arguments to realizing that there is one reality is the fact that we think that there is something that, if there are two realities, there would be something that would perceive them, that would know them. Otherwise, we could not speak of two realities. So if there are two realities, there would be a mega reality that would know them, that would perceive them, and that is the one reality. So we know that there is one reality. So if there is a reality to the objective world, to that is perceived, and there is the reality of consciousness, they are one. They're one. So I know.
Right. If you.
Yes. So I know that the world, body, mind that I perceive is not separate from the awareness that perceives it. And I know that I am this awareness, since I am knowingly the I, meaning I'm self-aware. So that brings what we refer to as the objective world from the dualistic perspective. It collapses that deck of cards to the wholeness of being. And what's very beautiful about the self is that it's never hidden. What the Sufis say, wherever your eyes fall, wherever the eyes fall is the face. But the face of God, yes? Something like that? Yes. And so it's all the face of God. But when I say that the self is never hidden, I'm referring to the awareness that whatever is the reality that perceives right now is never hidden. You just have to not look out. You don't look out. You look from beyond. You look from beyond, and you may wonder, how do I look from beyond? You're already looking from beyond. You're already looking from beyond. So you open yourself to the possibility that you're looking from beyond, and you realize that you are the beyond, looking from beyond. But then what you're looking at comes and collapses into the beyond. So there isn't a beyond and then another.
Yeah. There's no mundane to be beyond, even though you're beyond.
Yes. Yes. The ordinary is extraordinary. So I think the Buddhists, they talk about that the ordinary mind is extraordinary. And the extraordinary, of course, is ordinary, the one.
Like, aside from this mind, there's no Buddha.
Huh?
Aside from this mind, there's no Buddha.
Yes, yes.
And
yes, Buddha.
Aside from the Buddha, there's no mind.
Yes, right.
Letting the duality out of it.
Yes. You know, all these are conversations. They're all pointers. And they serve to loosen the knots. And they serve a function, but they're not the end. They are not the end game. The end game is peace and happiness, causeless peace and happiness.
the Rolodex in here. Remember Rolodex, where you put a
Yes,
little cards?
Rolodex, yes.
That's not the end.
No.
The Rolodex of sayings, no.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No.
But it's beautiful that they come to mind, and they come to mind with enlivened by the inquiry.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the wisdom is expressed in so many ways. And once you start to discern, then you will find wisdom everywhere, in everything.
Mm.
Even in what seems to be atrocious,
Mm-hmm.
you will find that there is a call from beyond, even within these unhappy events. There is an invitation. We all know that because we've all gone through such difficult times in our lives, and we've learned some things. We've been transformed, ripened, matured through these times in our life.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, Nanda. Nice to see you. Hello, Hinz. You're right. Isn't the decision good rest or good salad built on memory? Yes, it is. Yes. On a judgment of past experience of an individual in a time and space frame? Not necessarily. I would say yes, definitely it is a memory. It is based on a memory or built on a memory. But I wouldn't say it is an experience of an individual in time and space. Because memory is just an image that arises to you. You may remember a beautiful piece of music, and you feel the sweetness of that. You may remember, as we're saying, a good restaurant or a nice salad, and you feel the delight of eating such a salad. You could say it is, and it is the memory refers to time and space. But the way I use the term an individual in time and space, I refer to it as an identification, as being identified as a body-mind, a mortal body-mind, a chronological mortal body-mind, living in space, surrounded by a physical world. And from that impression, there is the angst of mortality, the unhappiness of being reduced from the wholeness of being to a man or a woman. And so from that perspective, all our experiences have in them a grabbing or a pushing back, accumulating, holding on to, hoarding, or running away, avoiding, wanting to escape, wanting to change things. A memory that arises of a nice restaurant can arise innocently and can have a sweetness to it. Or it can arise as, oh, this is an experience that I need to have again. That was a great experience. I wish I can have it again. You see? It's quite different. So yes, it is a memory, but it is not necessarily an expression of being identified as an individual in time and space. Hello, Holly. Okay, so you don't have video today, it's okay. My question has to do with self-care. I've experienced a good deal of anxiety lately, and I know some things help, exercise, meditation, etc. But at the same time, I don't want to get into a trap of self-improvement. Any advice for caring for body-mind? You know, Holly, there is nothing wrong with exercising, doing meditation, and taking a hot bath, going for a walk in nature, that help you in relaxing and in deep breathing, and but this does not necessarily need to be a substitution for your contemplation, because I know you are quite serious about the contemplation of the self. You don't need to be, you need to look at these activities as being an impediment or something in the way of your contemplation. In fact, you may, as you're experiencing these moments of restfulness and peace, when you're maybe taking a bath or doing some yoga or doing meditation, meaning maybe, I don't know, whatever you mean by that, but whatever it means to you, that experience of peace doesn't necessarily require you to get attached to it. You could enjoy it, and it may even become a sweet memory for you. It may appear to you at other times, without necessarily you attaching yourself to them, meaning thinking that your happiness depends on them, depends on these activities. Because you know that any happiness that depends on any activity is not the real deal, because all activities are in time and space. They have a beginning and an end. And also, sometimes they deliver the goods and sometimes they don't deliver the goods. So you know that happiness is beyond these activities, but these activities may be helpful at certain points in time in your life. And you may just enjoy them. They may not even necessarily be looked at as being helpful. They may be just moments where you enjoy sitting quietly in meditation or sipping a glass of wine or whatever you enjoy. And at the same time, you contemplate causeless happiness. You contemplate the peace of the self, the inherent freedom of being. And that is not possible when you are identifying yourself as holy, as a person. You are not a person. You are that. You are the effortless, aware presence, the shining light of consciousness. The person is an impression. We have no issue with that. The self has no issue with any impression. So you know yourself as awareness, as beingness, as consciousness. And that is not a male or female. That is not tall or short, or rich or poor. So that contemplation can go on alongside taking a hot bath or listening to some classical music when you're feeling anxious. Say, okay, let me sit back, relax, and why not? Of course, you know simultaneously that the cause of anxiety is the me thought, me and the other, me in time, me and others, me and something I want, I must have. If not, if I don't have it, there are consequences. You know that all anxieties have to do in one way or the other. There are many forms of anxieties, many degrees of anxieties, but they all have one thing in common, which is that I am a person in time and space, and therefore the should, I must, what would happen to me if. These are thoughts and bodily sensations that are pretty miserable, and they're based on a falsehood, because you have never been a person in time and space. This is mentation, that I exist in time and space is a mental realm. It's not the truth, it's not the reality of your experience. And in terms of the trap of self-improvement, that's just a hoax. The self needs no improvement. The self is beyond the mind. And the self that requires improvement does not exist. It's a paper lion, a paper elephant. It doesn't exist. So my advice...
Paper tiger.
Paper tiger. Thank you, Ananda.
It's like a game show.
Game show, a game show. It's a game show. An unhappy game show. So any advice for caring for the body mind? Yes, be sweet, be gentle, be a good friend, a good manager, a good caretaker for the body mind as best you can. The body mind is doomed to go up the roller coaster and to at some point in time function with more and more complication, with the aging of the body, with what we refer to. But you are not the body mind. So the best advice for caring for the body mind is don't be it. Don't become a body mind. You will never become a body mind, but don't buy into I am the body mind, and do your best with the body mind, whatever you can, whenever you can, remaining in your freedom without compromising your freedom. Your happiness doesn't depend on body-mind events. Okay, Holly. So, hence you write, so it is about freedom from the grab of this memory. Yes, it's about freedom I'm talking about like the salad in the restaurant and this memory, is the freedom from taking yourself to be dependent on anything, and being watchful of the thoughts that say, I am a person. Even if they're whispering it, actually, many thoughts don't even whisper it, but they assume it. It's like it's a silent handshake, you know. Those thoughts, and there may be many of them, many more than you can imagine, that say that I am a person. They, in fact, they believing such thoughts is a serious misunderstanding. Contemplate that the thought that says you hence are ... that thought must know something about you in order to say, hey, you hence you need this, you're lacking that, you should do this and that. How can a thought know anything about that perceives it? It cannot, because this thought is perceived. It has an inert quality, you could say. And what perceives it is what knows. The thought is known, but it is not knowing. So beware of thoughts that disguise themselves as knowingness. Hola, Giovanni. Giovanni, you write the whole enchilada of perception, things, matter, thoughts, the world, and then problems, troubles are one sphere, the sphere of the world that I am not. Then eventually, in a moment of grace, it's also I. Yes, yes, in the moment of grace, the whole enchilada of perception, things, matters, thoughts, and the worlds are also I, but not the problems, not the troubles. It would be problems and troubles free. If there are still problems and troubles, then more grace hopefully is on the way.
I just wanted to make a clarification. I came up with the word paper, with the term paper tiger, because you were trying to find that term.
Yes.
And then I said it's like a game show, and that's just, I meant it's a fun game. It's like a fun show for me where when you're trying to think of an American idiom, and then I try to come up with it. I just find that to be a happy game.
I am grateful for you being around for these saving graces there. Hence, thank you, Magdi. It is true, very, that thoughts assume there is a me. Yes, yes. Beware of such thoughts, hints, because they are lies. Thoughts do not know anything about you. Thoughts are known, they're not knowing. But a thought that says, you are a man, you're a woman, requires us to say yes, to agree. We agree with that thought. And that's our freedom. It's our freedom to say, yes, I'm a man. Yeah, I'm a woman. Yeah, yes, I'm born. Yes, I will die. So we agree with these thoughts. But we also can recognize that when we agree with these thoughts, when we really agree with these thoughts, then we are quite unhappy. It's important to recognize that unhappiness is our freedom, is our choice. It's not imposed upon us. Especially, in particular, when we start to understand that it is so. When we start to understand, then we have a responsibility towards our understanding, because such an understanding is inspired by grace, is inspired by God. You could say that such understanding is an invitation from God to come to the party. And so you have to respond responsibly, you have to respond properly, you have to respond accordingly to your understanding. And you have to say, yes, I understand and I am coming to the party. You cannot turn God down, you can turn President Trump down, the president to be. But you cannot turn God down. Be careful. There is a bigger boss. So once there is the understanding that this freedom to be a man or a woman is unhappiness and misery, then the way you honor this gift is by questioning your choices and making the right choices. So you make the choice of consciousness. You make the choice that I am this aware presence that is not personal. There is nothing personal Anything personal refers to some limitation. Mine, not yours. Me, not him, not her. So that's the honoring your understanding is very efficient. And it may seem to be difficult at times, but the more you live according to consciousness, you perceive, you think, you feel as consciousness, the more it becomes natural to you. Like a new pair of shoes, you wear them, the more you wear them. In the beginning, there are some you need to break them in. Well, it's very beautiful as usual to be with you all. I wish you a happy new year, and we'll see you soon. Be happy, be well.
Thank you.